everyone, thanks for joining me. I'm Michelle from Boozy Bakers, and today we're going to be making some cheese straws. And as it's Halloween, we've also said they are witches' fingers, and we're going to give you the opportunity to dress them up so that they are suitable for Halloween. So whether you are getting in the mood for a spooky weekend or whether you just want to learn to make cheese straws, this is the workshop for you. So we will be going through the recipe. You've been given the ingredients. If you have any questions or you'd like to say hi or anything, you are welcome to type us a question and I will read it and answer it as best as I can. So I will show you a picture on here. It's from my recipe book, and these are the cheese straw recipes. So this is just that way. That's my regular picture, and I have got some that I've made earlier. They are just cooling on the side, so I will be able to show you those very shortly. So if you're with me today, say a big hello and tell me where you are in the country. I'm down in Hampshire. It's pretty sunny today. It's quite nice. Good day for baking, though, I think. It's a bit nippy outside, but sunny with it. So, if you are doing the witch's fingers, I did give you the option of flaked almonds. You can use whole almonds if you want, just something just to make it look like a finger at the base. The other thing, we have got oven temperatures, but you also have a chill time. So I'm not going to suggest any oven temperatures for now, because what you'll do is you'll make the dough, chill it, and then I will show you what else to do. And give you the oven temperature for when you are ready. Right then. So in my bowl, I have got 375 grams of plain flour. Now I've already sieved mine, but you can go and sieve yours into a bowl and just add a pinch of salt. It's all about adding flavour to these. It's basically what we're making is a rough puff pastry with cheese. They're rather delicious. In fact, my kids have just said, it's half term this week, and they've just said, what are you doing? And I said, cheese straws, and they both went, ooh. So I know that they're quite excited to eat them. So I'm just going to give my salt and my flour a little mix. There we go. I'm not seeing any questions at the moment, but please do let me know if you do have one. Oh, hang on a minute. You know what? It's because I'm not looking at the right bit. There we go. Katie says, hi. Irene says, good afternoon. Tracy, I'm in Skegness. Sarah Wood from Tamworth. Oh, I used to live near Tamworth. Not that far away. Excellent. Lovely to have you all here. It does help if you look at the right screen and you get the comments. So that was 375 grams of plain flour and a pinch of salt. Now, to that, I'm going to add some chilled unsalted butter. I'd always go with butter rather than margarine because you want this to be like, you're going to mix it into the flour until it resembles breadcrumbs. But what makes it puff up are those little lumps of fat which kind of explode. So I would definitely make sure it's butter rather than margarine. Make sure it's chilled so you're not melting it in. You want it to be nice and rough. And this is unsalted, and I've just diced it up just to make it easier to add to my flour. So I'm just going to, that's 225 grams. So if it's a block of butter, you literally need to take a spoonful away, and that's about 225 grams. So using my hands, I'm just going to bring that down so you can see what I'm doing a bit. Using my hands, I'm going to mix this together until it resembles a breadcrumbs. I know you can get special pastry kind of, what's the word? Kind of combiners. It kind of mixes the two together, and it looks vaguely like a head massager to me. But I don't have that, and I quite like getting my hands in, and I find it therapeutic. So I have recommended for this a cheddar. I didn't get too specific. You can use what you would like. So if you have a smoked cheese or a red Leicester, they are good. If you have a chili cheddar, that's fine. You're just adding your own take. It can be mature, it can be mild. Of course, the more mature, the more cheesy the flavour is going to be. So hopefully you've got that at the ready. Or of course you can watch this back later. So all I'm doing is I'm pressing the butter and the flour together. And it does take a bit of time. So do bear with it and just keep squeezing those pieces of flour. So what is the prep time and the cooking times, please, says Tracy. Well, so takes a bit longer when I'm rambling on, but it's about 20 minutes prep, if you get going, and the cook time is only 10 minutes. But in between that, you have a chill time and you want to allow 30 minutes. So for this workshop, what I'm going to do is get you to the point of the dough, and then if you're off out somewhere and you don't have time to wait, just leave it in the fridge. I made some last night. And then put it in the fridge overnight, and I've got it out a bit before I want to roll it, and you can do that. So you can make it ahead of time, but if you are eager to have cheese straws ready, you only need 30 minutes of refrigeration. So I hope that helps. And then the cooking times, I will give it to you just in case you want it now. We will be putting the oven on at 180 degrees for fan or 190 for conventional. That's degrees Celsius. But as I said, you've got to allow for a chill time first, so don't feel the need to rush into putting the oven on. Mine's on because I'm going to put some more on in a minute. So I've got some continually baking to show you what you're looking for. But you don't need to yet. So if you're doing this with me, I'm sure you cannot type at the same time as having your hands in the bowl, because it does get a little bit messy. But I've still got bigger lumps, but I can see that it is looking like breadcrumbs more so. It doesn't look just like flour and butter anymore. But it's just, and don't worry if you get to a point that you think there are some bigger bits. It's not huge lumps, but they are just bigger bits. Just leave it. Just have like little fatty bursts that will make your cheese straws delicious. So nearly there. I'm sitting down to do this. I've got to say, it's slightly easier to do it standing up. Your arms are at a better angle. So do what makes you comfortable. There we go. You'll have to just deal with a headless me, but it is Halloween, so completely fitting, I think. There we go. I will bring this up to camera so you can see what I'm doing. How many will this make? A very good question. It makes about 24. As I said, you can leave the dough wrapped in the fridge for a couple of days. So if you don't want to make them all at once, just make some and then make the rest a bit later. And they will keep for a day or two, but I'd always make them fresh when you want to eat them. So, all right. There we go. Let me show you. That's so you can see on the whole, it's like breadcrumbs, but I have just got a few bits that are a bit bigger still in there. So if you can bring them down a bit, do, but please don't worry too much if you just can't get rid of those last bits. They will sort themselves out. So that's my mix. Okay. Gonna just give my hands a rub. If you want to go and wash them, please do. I just want to make sure that I'm still on camera for you. I find tapping between palms helps. Rubbing. yeah, it does. Just anything you do, just try and keep it as cold as you can. But yeah, you get there eventually. There, right, just giving my hands a quick rub down just for ease of doing this. Right, once you have done that, we're going to add the rest of the ingredients and then give it a mix into a dough. So I'm going to give you a bit longer to rub that together because you may have had weighing out to do and so forth. So I'll give you a second longer. And whilst you're waiting, I'm going to show you what these look like. Now they've cooled down a bit. So that's what you're making. These ones are the witch's finger ones, like that. So I'll give you a show you how to do those, but that's kind of what you're aiming for, witch's fingers. I said you don't have to make them into witch's fingers. Okay. Right then. I've got 150 grams of grated mature cheddar cheese. Now I've done the finer grate. I haven't done that big thick one, but it's personal preference. It is a lot of cheese. These are a cheesy snack for sure. So I'm going to just put in 150 grams of the mature cheddar cheese. And then I've got 50 grams of Italian hard cheese. I've kept it nice and basic so you can get what you want. There we go. So where can I find the recipe, please? So Rosemary, there should be the details for this along with the post. There should be some details which will give you all the ingredients. It's our own recipe from our recipe book, which is available on Amazon. So if you wanted something written down, you can find Lockdown Baking, a second helping on Amazon, and that's got the recipe in. But you can rewatch this, and it does give you all the ingredients along with the post. Right, that's all my cheese. That is a lot of cheese in there. And to that, we're going to add a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. You can use other mustards. I like the flavour of Dijon, but English mustard would also work. And this is for anything that you're doing with like a cheese sauce or anything with a cheese in it. Mustard brings out the flavour of the cheese. So if you're doing like a lasagna or cheesy mashed potatoes, try adding a teaspoon of mustard to it. Particularly if you don't have that much cheese, it really intensifies the flavour. There we go. So a teaspoon of that. And then I've got some cayenne pepper. It's optional, don't feel you have to, but if you want a bit of warmth to this, then cayenne pepper will do that for you. I have done it before with a whole teaspoon. That's quite a lot. If you like your heat, do that. But otherwise, a good pinch. So I've got about a quarter to a third of a teaspoon there. I will repeat all these ingredients as well. So if you're thinking, oh heck, she's going fast, I will do these again. So I'll tell you what, I'll do it now, in fact, we want 2 egg yolks. So I haven't separated these yet because I didn't want them waiting around for too long. So as I separate the eggs, I'm going to keep the egg whites, you see, and make some meringue with it or something later. So you don't need to waste your egg whites, just find another use for them. But whilst I'm doing that, I'll repeat what I've put in. So we've got 375 grams of plain flour. And then to that, we added a pinch of salt and gave it a bit of a sieve. And then we added 225 grams of diced chilled butter. And we mixed that together into breadcrumbs. And once that's all mixed together, I've added 150 grams of grated mature cheddar cheese. And 50 grams of Italian hard cheese, and then a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, and a good pinch of cayenne pepper. Cayenne. And now I'm just adding to that a couple of egg yolks. So it looks the oddest mix at the moment. So I'm going to just set aside my egg whites for later. Give my hands a little bit of a rub. There we go. And then your last ingredients is to add 4 or 5 tablespoons of cold water. You might find you need a little bit more, but add gradually. So start with, say, 4, and you can always add a 5th. But we want to bring this into a dough now. So that's my 4, and the tablespoons I've added. And now we want to mix this in as a dough. So I did these last night because I wanted to make some that I could show you. I think I added 5, maybe 6 tablespoons. But you'll get the feel. If you give it a bit more of a chance to come together, but if you find that it's not clumping together, or there's lots and lots of dry bits in the bottom of your bowl, then just add a bit more water. I also find I'm using a spoon, a metal spoon, and it's a bit thin on the handle. I do find actually a knife is quite good with this. I might swap in a minute and just cut through with a knife. But actually, yeah, I will. My tablespoons, the 4 tablespoons I've added, might be enough, you know. I will show you what it's looking like. So you can see it's starting to come together, but it's still quite loose at the bottom. So I should have had the knife in my hand as I did that. So I'm going to keep stirring it together. I'm just cutting through it with a knife and looking at the bottom to see how much dry bits I've got. Actually, I haven't got that much. I think 4 was about right. But if you need more, then please do add it. But you can see it's starting to come together even more. So we'll just keep giving that a stir. Eventually, I will stick my hands in and bring this into a ball of dough. There we go. Right. That's about right. I'll scrape that off. And I'm going to use my fingers to bring that into a dough. Those out of the way. So just pressing it together, using my hand in the bowl, just giving it a bit of a light knead, pressing it together. And what I've got is a soft dough. It's not really coming apart. It doesn't feel dry, but it's not really sticking to my hands either. So I will bring it up, show you. A few little loose dry bits, but there we go. So I can put my hand in that, squish it down, and it's not coming. You can see the indentations on my finger there, but it's not really on my hands. So you don't want it wet. You just need it nicely together, but not sticky. So that, if you didn't want to do 24 cheese sticks, but to be honest, they do go really fast, particularly in my house. But if you're not going to eat that many, I don't want that. You could split this now into 2, and you could put some in your freezer. You can use cling film to wrap it, or I've got a nice little bag, sealable bag, so you can pop it in there. Whichever you prefer. You can obviously reuse the bags, give them a clean up and reuse them. So I'm just going to make sure there's no air in my bag, seal it up. And if you want a little trick of how to make this go a bit faster, is squidge your pastry down a bit, or pastry dough down, to give it more of a surface area, and then the cold gets to it quicker. So rather than having a ball of dough, just squidge it down, and you're halfway there with the rolling then as well. So that's my dough, and that can go in the fridge. As I said, give it a good half an hour. There's one in. But I have done a complete blue pita here, I made earlier. If you, like me, decide to put it in the fridge and leave it overnight, you might find, if you get it out and try to roll it straight away, it's really hard. So you might need to leave it out the fridge. Now, this has been out for about a good 45 minutes in a warm kitchen. So this might be a little bit softer than I actually need it. But obviously, I was trying to time things for the workshop, whereas you can time things as you see fit. But that is a harder piece of the dough. And I'm going to show you now. So yours is now in the fridge, hopefully, or it will be soon. But I'm now going to show you how to roll out, shape, turn into witch's fingers if you so wish. And whilst that's doing, I'm going to put another batch in so you can see literally how long it takes and what you should be looking for. So these are my unbaked ones. So a little bit of a preview. Those are my unbaked ones. You can see there's one left over on the side. I'm not wasting it. I'm going to cook it even though it's a bit smaller. I've separated them out. There's about 2 fingers width in between each one. And I'm going to put those in the oven. And I'm going to put them on for 10 minutes. There we go. I think these are really good actually, because you can shape them as you like, really. But they're quite good for like friends coming over for a glass of wine. So, going back to my dough, if you went and got a cup of tea and you thought, hang on a minute, why are they going in the oven? This is to show you what they look like, how long they take, what they look like when they're done. But this is the preparation of them. So once you've got your dough out the fridge, you've got your nice block of dough. This is half the amount because I've already used half cooking some up. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on my worktop. Now, I've actually got a mat here, and the reason I'm using a mat is because I want to cut my pastry. So if you haven't got a chopping board or a mat underneath, just be really careful with your knife that you don't ruin your worktop. So I've got my rolling pin, and I'm going to roll these out, and you're looking for around 15 to 20 centimetres in length. So what I tend to do, just make sure your rolling pin has some flour on it so it doesn't stick. And then I move the dough, and then I know it's not sticking to the worktop. At the moment, that's still quite thick. It's about it's over a finger thick. You want it to be about a good pound coin, maybe even a couple of pound coins in depth, depending on how you like them. But I would go a bit thick, about a couple of pound coins. So I'm just going to, and also you kind of want to keep this as rectangular as you can. So you might just want to square it up with your hands as you go along, just so you have a nice, pretty uniform. You might have the odd one or so that aren't, but you kind of want it to be as uniform as possible. There we go. Now, do you remember me saying about the butter? Can you see there's like a marbly line of butter where running along here? That'll be fine. So don't worry if you had a few little bits. There we go. It's nearly there. I said I'm going to cut these about 1 centimetre wide, maybe 1.5. Again, depending on how you like them. I'm just turning it all the time. It helps me shape it as well as making sure it's not stuck. I know with my kids, if I'm not careful, they'll roll when they're doing biscuit making or anything that requires rolling. They put a lot of weight onto the dough and they really go for it, and then they come to actually use it and it's stuck to the worktop. So just make sure you've got a little bit of flour under. And the other suggestion is be really careful when you roll out, if you're not used to rolling things out, that you don't put all your pressure on the far end and you're using your body weight. Try to take your weight off it so you get a nice even roll. There we go. There. So these are quite orangey actually. I used a red Leicester on these last night. Quite like using up what you've got. Right. So if I show you again, it's quite thin now. It's not over thin, but it's you know, it's a couple of pound coins. And I've got it in a rectangular shape. And I think I'll measure those out with my trusty ruler here, look. We're looking at, they are about 17 centimetres. So anything like that is fine. And then with a knife, I'd go for a long knife just for ease. I mean, you can score it all the way down, but if you happen to have a longer knife, I would go for that just so you can just do one chop. Now you can, if you want to make them really, really exact, you can cut all the edges off so that they're nice and sharp. I don't mind a bit of rustic. I like some uniformity in that they're the same thickness and roughly the same length, just for baking times. And I'm cutting them about a finger in width. So if I show you, I'll come up. It's about a finger in width. Just a bit longer than mine, but perfect for a witch's finger. So I'll do some more. If, like me, you find that actually it's getting really hot to use, I'm okay, but my oven's been on for a while now. You can stop this at any time and put it gently on a tray or a chopping board and put it in the fridge for a bit to just firm up a bit. These are all right, but they're definitely, I have done this when it is just a firmer feel to the dough. But it's fine. That's a bit thicker, that one. Fine, no problem. So how are you guys going to be celebrating or doing anything for Halloween? My kids are getting a bit older now. My daughter would like to make some decorations. I've got to say, I'm kind of like, I'd like to make a garland of leaves and celebrate. I suppose I'm going a bit American. I like the idea of celebrating fall rather than Halloween. But they're still in for apple bobbing and things like that. We did make toffee apples the other day for the first time. That's quite a good one to do with kids. Just, it's a process of trying not to burn them as well. Right. So with your lengths, if you want to turn them into witch's fingers, I might do this up to camera actually. I find flaked almonds are quite good for little nails. And all I do, I'm going to try and show you, is in fact, I might do it that way, is add it to the top. So the top of the flaked almond is slightly over the back of the dough. And they will cook up nicely because it's only a short cooking time. And then the other thing you can do is you can pinch the pastry to create like knobbly fingers. And you can even add like the knuckle lines. I don't know if you can see that or not. Ooh, going off that way. There we go. So you can do them like that or just leave them as lengths. I'll show you again. That's my cooked witch's finger. So, and then if you have a ketchup or something to dip them in, they can be bloody witch fingers, which are quite fun to do as well. So I'm going to do a couple like witch's fingers. If they don't stick to your pastry, just push them in slightly. Can the dough be frozen, says Tracy? Yes, you can, absolutely. Just wrap it up really well, and you can put it in the freezer for a few weeks, and then bring it out and thaw it out in the wrapping. You just need it lightly chilled. So you can use it from a chilled state, but you're not going to be able to roll it whilst it's frozen. So you do need it to thaw out a bit. Right, so I'm going to do some of these, and I've just been stabbing the what are they called? Flaked almonds into the dough ever so slightly so that they stay put. But if you've got kids doing these with you this half term, they might really enjoy this. And then just, you can decorate them, you can make them knobbly, you can even make them crooked. And then if you stick these into like a highball glass and serve with a ketchup, I personally, I don't overly like just a regular ketchup, but if you put a bit of Italian dried herbs or something into your ketchup and just jazz it up a bit, it's quite nice. And then serve that alongside, and then you can dip the fingers in. If they were cut, can they be cooked from frozen? I think I'd probably still thaw them out a bit because otherwise they might not puff up as soon. You'd have to try it out. I haven't actually done that. So yeah, maybe, Tracy, but my gut feeling is they will need to thaw out just so that they can react in the oven. When we do gooey chocolate cookies, I do cook them from frozen because I don't want too much of a reaction from the middle. I don't want it to spread out too much. I'm making them all witch fingers. I've got all of excited about Halloween. So if I don't want it to have too much of a reaction, then that's a great idea. But I think because you want these to puff up, you don't want them to be kind of still quite rigid in that 10 minutes to heat them up. And just to remind you, it is 190 degrees Celsius for a fan oven, and it is 190 for conventional and 180 for fan. I'll get there. Right, let's get these out and I can show you what they look like. They smell amazing. So these are just your regular cheese straws. So they look a lot more pleasant in a lot of ways when they're out without the fingernails. So I'll bring those up. Now, if you want them a bit more golden, you can, but they actually look pretty good to me. But try one. If you think, actually, they need a bit longer, then you can. Let me just put those down so I don't burn myself. There we go. And I've got these other witch fingers going. So that's the witchy ones. Pretty much the same, just with a little bit more decoration and a bit more shape. And then, so how many have I made? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Quite a few. I'm probably over my 24 by a little bit. Haven't actually properly cooked them. I was 2, 4, 6. Yeah, a bit over my 24. So I'm just looking for any more questions you might have. But if you have kids with you this week, whether it's grandchildren or your own kids, or you do child minding, obviously they're good to do, but if you don't want to do the actual baking bit, you can always make up the dough and just let them have fun with it. I managed to keep 5 children happy with some clay making yesterday for quite a while, and they were aged between 14 and 5. So I think if you go with that kind of, it's a bit of fun. If they want to make them, or you want to make them into twists or anything like that, you can do that. You can get inventive. I mean, if you wanted to, something like this, you could twist it to create a shape. So you can get inventive and do different things. So that'd be quite nice. And you could add a little bit of the Italian hard cheese to the top of them, just sprinkle it on. You don't want it so much that they're going to stick to the bottom of your the tray, because you want them to puff up a bit. So I'm just going to show you the difference between the two. Bear with me. So that's your uncooked one, and that's your cooked one. So you can see they do puff up. Yeah, you could egg wash them. Just, again, be careful. If you do egg wash them, make sure that, if I were you, I would egg wash them off of your baking tray and then put them on, because that you might just restrict how much they puff up if they kind of get glued down to your tray. So yeah, when you do them, they're not going to spread out particularly, so you can put them vaguely close together. I would just do a bit of a 2-finger gap between, and then bake them for about 10 to 12 minutes. Mine have both got in for 10 minutes, and I think that's perfectly fine, but everyone's oven is different. So if you do find that they look a bit light in colour, just put them in for a couple more minutes, and then leave them, when they're out of the oven, leave them on a rack. I've just done with mine, that they firm up. If you try to move them straight away, they'll break. So let them cool down, and then you will have a nice amount of cheese straws. So if you're making them today, where are we at now? We're on Wednesday. You could probably leave them you could make them up for the weekend, or have a trial today and go back to them and make some more later in the week. They are rather Moorish, and I have made a lot of them. How have you got on? How are you finding it? Are you covered in dough, or are you chilled out with yours in the fridge? I'd love to know how you've got on with that. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you do have any questions though, about anything that you're attempting to make at home or about the cheese straws, do feel free to ask me questions. Happy to take them. Don't think this actually needs to be on anymore. I haven't got anything in for a bit. Oh, I'll put those in, can't I? I'll put those in a second. Yeah, I don't know what else you're doing for Halloween. I'm going to be making some pumpkin shaped bread, which is a bit of fun. You can come and join us on that at Boozy Bakers. Tracy says, I've taken down the recipe and I'll try them when I've bought all the ingredients. Yeah, it's a great idea. And you can do it in your own time. Sometimes it's like reading a recipe, isn't it? It's worth reading it all and then having a go rather than doing it bit by bit. So if you haven't made them yet, go get your ingredients and have a go. And you can post your results onto Virtual Village Hall and you can share your photos. But I do think they're not too time consuming. And they give great results. And on the whole, people tend to like them. And if you want to add more heat or chili or herbs or a bit of garlic, you can make them your own. But that will make you just cheesy straws or your witch's fingers if you choose to decorate them. And then you can get your own dips or whatever you want to do with them, or just have them as they are. But that's it, guys. That is as simple as it is for cheese straws. And I'll go and get some more baking trays in a minute and put these in the oven for the kids, who are going to be very happy to have all these to munch on. But yeah, that's cheese straws for you. I hope you've enjoyed it, or come back and enjoy it another time. I'm back with you next week. We're going to be, and it sounds a bit early, I've left it till after Halloween, but we're going to be making Christmas cakes. Not decorating, but just the making, because actually you want to be able to feed your cake before Christmas and enrich it. Yeah, you can come back with us next week and make Christmas cakes. So do look out for that. It will be advertised through Virtual Village Hall, and we'll have a go at making that together. Just a fair warning, it does take a while to bake. If it's a rainy afternoon, don't worry, because we've got it covered. We're going to make something delicious. Yeah, hopefully you can come back, watch any time, as I said, and join us next week for Christmas cakes. Have a lovely weekend. That's me done for you now, guys. Thanks for joining me. Bye.